This is the weekly review for the week of October 3rd to October 7th, as well as this week's Sunday preparation. So, coming into the week, I was anticipating we were going to have a bearish week and price was going to retrace back up into this daily range here from this high to this low because we had a big sell off the previous week. So I thought that the most logical thing to do would be to retrace back up into premium and then continue the sell off. So there weren't any long entry opportunities because price just moved up so fast. But the one thing I did note on Monday was this setup off previous week's high. So it was a nice setup in terms of the formation. We had the SMT with previous week's high and then this clean displacement down. But obviously this goes against the bearish weekly bias because if we're bearish, we would anticipate, Monday and Tuesday and maybe even Wednesday to trade up to form the high of the week. So this would have been a short, which would obviously go against that bias. So originally I had limits placed here on my demo, but then I saw these bullish SMTs and then this real big displacement candle up. So I just cut the limits here, and that was a good thing because price eventually ended up trading higher to make the high of the day. Now, I was looking for a power 3 setup here, anticipating price to retrace down into the mean threshold of the daily range. And we did get that, but there was no setup here. Price never came back up into the fair value gap. So Monday was really just consolidation. And it was also an inside day where we didn't take out the previous day's high or the previous day's low. And ICT says that when we see that, we should anticipate a big range expansion on the next day. And that's what I noted in my journal entry for Tuesday or for Monday, that on Tuesday I was expecting a big range expansion. And that's what we did get on Tuesday. Now, there were no mentorship setup entries. Obviously, that's the only setup that I trade. We did break market structure up here. I was watching previous week's high, and just above previous week's high right up here is the weekly fair value gap. So this one here. So I was seeing that, or I was watching to see that if we were going to raid previous week's high and then, have a bearish displacement off of it to look for a short. But Tuesday London session really just had an aggressive break in market structure above previous week's high, showing no signs of bearishness, and then we came back down into OTE and this H1 fair value gap and continued to trade higher. And then pretty much all of New York session really was just respecting the fair value gaps that were created. We retraced a little bit into discount and hit the fair value gap and then continued going higher. One of the things that I noted in my journal was this fake bearish setup here. So we do have a bearish mentorship setup, right? With the SMT with London high and then this little bit of displacement down and then this fair value gap in premium here. But I noted that just based on the context of everything else, with this such an aggressive close of previous week's high, and then this OTE and another aggressive run up, an M5 break in market structure with SMT is probably not going to be the high of the week. So that's why I didn't place a demo short limit here, and price indeed ended up running up higher. Obviously respecting these fair value gaps here, but there were no raids of any liquidity to get in on this move. which is why I just stayed flat. So coming into Wednesday, I saw that we had a raid of, or actually a failure swing on EU of previous day's high. GU rated previous day's high, EU had that failure swing here, and then we had this very aggressive break in market structure down. So I was looking at the charts just at the end of London session, and I was anticipating that in New York we were going to retrace up into this fair value gap in premium of the displacement range here. And I also noted that because this was a SMT failure swing of high time frame liquidity being previous day's high, and it was on a Wednesday, I was thinking that this was going to be the high of the week. So GU made the high of the week on Wednesday, EU with the failure swing made the high of the week on Tuesday. And because the week is, or because I was anticipating the week was bearish, that's why I thought that this formation here was going to be the high of the week, especially after seeing this displacement down. Now, we never returned back up into the fair value gap here. I set a limit on my demo account, and price never made it up there, unfortunately. So we broke market structure of the low-hanging fruit liquidity and then broke market structure here again. And I was watching this fair value gap, but in all honesty, I didn't know if price wanted to just retrace up here and tag this. That's still something that I'm trying to figure out, is that like when price leaves something like this open here, how do we know it's a breakaway gap, or price is going to retrace up here and then go down? So that's why I didn't set limits at this institutional order flow entry drill here. Have this two fair value gaps here, I don't know why. But yeah, we respected this fair value gap and then traded lower to take previous days. Oh no, we did not take previous days low. We had an SMT with previous days low here. And we had, this was around 10 a.m. and I was watching for a power 3 type of setup here. But we never got that because there was no fair value gap created to enter on. It's on Friday. Yeah, so we had that break in market structure here, but there was just no fair value gap in here to enter on for a power 3 long setup. So that was pretty much it for Wednesday. Then coming into Thursday, I saw that we retraced into premium of the previous day's range, and we also respected this fair value gap here. We had a small SMT with GU, but obviously these are still equal highs, so I didn't really like that. Even though we had a small raid with SMT, break in market structure, and then came back up to the fair value gap. So I noted that, and then also here in the interim session that we respected the fair value gap here and came up into premium of this displacement range. So coming into New York, I saw this M15 fair value gap in premium of the range from that high to that low. And then we had news come here at 8:30-ish. So I set limits here. I was, in terms of emotions, I was still a little bit afraid because we had these equal highs up here. But because I saw all of this other bearish confluence in terms of the context and premium, respected this, I thought that it would be highly unlikely for price to want to trade all the way up here clear those out and then come down. So that was my logic for setting a short here on demo as an institution order flow entry drill. And I was looking for previous day low to be the draw on liquidity, because obviously we're bearish. We had a SMT high of the week form on Tuesday, Wednesday with GU and EU, and price continued trading lower, came up into premium. So on a Thursday here at New York session, it's pretty much 100% probability that this is going to be a bearish week, with all of that other context, which is why I was looking for previous day's lows to be ran out, because that's what we should expect when we're bearish. It wouldn't make sense for price to come all the way up here and try to take out previous day's high. But per usual, I'm just taking my take profit at the 1.3R. And this got moved a little bit, so the 1.3R would be right there. But I noted in my journal that I was anticipating previous day's low to be taken out. So that ended up working out. And that was really the only trade of the week that I took on EU. And then Friday was NFP. And honestly, this was, or prior to NFP, I thought that we were going to have a pretty clean trade setup. Usually on NFP days, there's nothing super clean in price action to form a setup. But this week, I was very confident, obviously, that we were bearish. And I saw these relative equal highs. So one of the other things is I noted on my journal on Thursday that I thought these, oh, that's the wrong line. I thought that these relative equal highs could be targeted for NFP. But then prior to 8:30, when I was looking at the charts, I saw these relative equal highs, this one right here and this one right here, this H4 fair value gap right above them, and then the H4 range here from that high to, should probably put on these, should just go out to the H4 chart, honestly. Okay, yeah, so it was from this high, the swing from this high here to this low right here. And part of the fair value gap was in premium. So I set a demo limit right here with the stop above the fair value gap high. I didn't know if NFP was going to trade all the way up that high, but I was highly confident that we were going to take out this buy side liquidity, these equal highs, prior to moving down. And then we also had this trend line liquidity here. But NFP really just immediately went down and didn't take out any buy side, which is something that I was not expecting, considering that we had these equal highs so close to price. But then we made the low of the week on Friday. And we had a short-term little mentorship set up here with a shift in market structure. And we came back down to the fair value gap here in discount and then traded up into this low resistance liquidity run from NFP, this fair value gap right here, denoted by the dotted lines, and then continued to trade lower. But I wasn't watching this part live. After I saw that NFP initially just dumped down and we didn't take any buy side, I just closed the charts for the rest of the day. So really only one trade for me this week, even though price did play out as I was anticipating. Let's see if there's anything else I wanted to note. This. Yeah, so then coming into next week, what I'm watching is this daily fair value gap here. So I think this upcoming week is going to be bearish, and we're going to have this sell side taken here. I believe also that the high of the month is probably in. We opened the month here, and this would be the monthly Judas swing up into these high time frame bearish PD arrays, the weekly fair value gap, this daily fair value gap here, and then this weekly order block, this one right here, and we respected the mean threshold of that order block right there. So I think that there's a high probability that the high of the month is set for foreign currency as well as indices. So we're going to have bearish weeks here on out for the rest of the month. So obviously, if this week is going to be bearish, we're going to expect price to trade up Monday, Tuesday to form the high of the week. And there's this daily fair value gap in here, which I think the high of the week could be made in. Also, H4 fair value gap in here. So there's some multiple time frame inefficiency. And that would also be taking out these equal highs, which I think is nice. Obviously, we still do have these equal highs here, but I think it's highly unlikely that these are going to be tagged. So what I'm basically just going to be watching for is if a mentorship setup forms on the low time frame, M5, M15 inside this area here after cleaning out this liquidity. But yeah, that's all I could see right here on these charts. So for indices, I actually had a very good lesson for indices. So obviously I was bearish on this as well, and I was anticipating the high of the week to form Tuesday or Wednesday. And I was initially watching previous week's high on S&P, and we didn't have any bearish displacement off of previous week's high. So we just had this huge run up here, and coming into Wednesday, this is what tripped me up, right? So we're inside the monthly order block and this weekly fair value gap here, right? And I think this is also premium of a range. Yeah, premium of this range here. It's just we could see it on the hourly chart. So remember, Tuesday made the high of the week on EU and GU, right? Right there. With the SMT. So I'm thinking that indices made the high of the week on Tuesday as well. And we're in high time frame, bearish PD arrays in premium of the daily range above the previous week's high. So I ended up taking a short in here, like right in here. That was on Wednesday. Yeah, this fair value gap in here is where I shorted. I believe we had a SMT with indices, or one of the indices here, and then I shorted this fair value gap. Now, the issue with that is this type of price action, and this is what I noted in my journal, and I also printed this out so I could just see it every day. This is not displacement down compared to this. So all this was here was literally just them building up liquidity. This is trend line liquidity that we rated this low here and then made the high of the week here, right? But the thing that I noted is that this type of choppy price action that's not clear displacement down like this, and the fact that we have these two contrasting types of price action right next to each other is just amazing for my journal and for study purposes. That this is not what we want to see in a top formation. This is what we want to see. So that's why when I was shorting that M5 fair value gap right here, it didn't work out because they wanted to clean out the liquidity up here. And that's why we ended up making the high of the week on Wednesday PM session instead of following what EU and GU did, making the high of the week on Tuesday or Wednesday London. And then obviously here we got that big displacement down, break in market structure, and the same thing happened on low time frame on Thursday. So Thursday is that. So yeah, this is Thursday right here. This type of price action. That same thing in terms of the fake displacement down. I took these two short setups. I shorted this fair value gap here, and I shorted this fair value gap here. But look at the difference. This displacement compared to this. This one on the right is so much clearer and cleaner that it's aggressive, breaking market structure down. This is kind of like meandering here, just like this type of price action, which is why the short here failed, even though this is a setup. And also we didn't raid a session high or previous day high liquidity. This did. We had a failure swing with London high. This was just some random high that we had a failure swing with. So even though we had that break in market structure and this fair value gap up here in premium, all this was just building liquidity here and above this high. They rated it above that, and then the real move here with smart money tipping their hand of this clear and clean displacement down, then returning up to the fair value gap here in premium, and this is the trade that ended up working out. So I have these two, this screenshot here of the H1 and then this screenshot here of the M5 printed out so I could just see this every day, because this is what I was getting tripped up on, right? Because everything else in terms of the high time frame context was making me want to short. We're in the area of all these high time frame bearish PD arrays. The high time frame is bearish, right? But because I'm just sitting at the charts anticipating, right, Tuesday to form the high of the week, and I see this move down, right? And I'm like, oh no, you know, is this the high of the week? I didn't catch it or whatever, right? All this is a fake move, even though we are in a logical area to be short. But we just want to wait for this. So this was a good lesson for me this week. And for the high time frame on S&P, I think it's really just the same as Euro. We don't have a daily fair value gap in here, so I'm not too sure where this wants to retrace to, but I'm still going to be anticipating a bearish week on indices. The only thing would be this fair value gap that formed during NFP. But this liquidity down here is definitely going to be taken this week. And then we have the weekly fair value gap and weekly order block below price that I believe will be tagged. So really the same thing for S&P. I'm just going to be waiting for a mentorship setup to form Monday, Tuesday, above a previous week high or session high or previous day high. And then we also have these relative equal highs up here. So I'm going to be bearish coming into this week. So yeah, we'll see what happens.